We couldn't have any real conversation about swagger this week without mentioning this. First Lady Michelle Obama at a private fundraiser on Tuesday dealing with protester Ellen Sturtz from the LGBT equality group Get Equal.
Right now, today, we have an obligation to stand up for those kids. And I don't care what you believe in. We don't. Wait. One of the things that I don't do well is this.
So if you don't think that sounded too swaggerish on the First Lady's part, consider that she then came down to speak with Ms. Sturtz, who was demanding that the president sign an executive order prohibiting federal contractors from discriminating against LGBT employees. Sturtz and Get Equal later said they were taken aback by the First Lady's response. Now, Anthea, you wrote about this week. I want to start by saying, of course I support and have said repeatedly that marriage is such a small part of an LGBT agenda. We must have this sort of law. But on the other hand, I appreciated how my First Lady managed the heckling.
Exactly. And I want to say the same thing, too. I mean, I support ENDA, but I do not support heckling the First Lady out of turn at a place that it didn't belong, in a private home with a lesbian couple there hosting. I mean, it just was really, as I'd like to call it, out of pocket and very disrespectful. I think for me, the moment where I realized it made a turn when she said I was taken aback. And I'm like, you have sort of made the First Lady as though she's not a real person who can feel, who has feelings, who would, come down to you and speak to you one-on-one. And I think what she did was absolutely right. But the whole thing that fell out afterwards was that people, all the reactions on Twitter, I mean, everybody just had a psychic meltdown, right? Right. Because we're all like, you go, right? Yep. You go, you do this. But at the same time, there were others who said, oh, no, she was absolutely right to heckle.
But this is the danger, I think, that has always been the pleasure and the pushback of having an African-American First Lady, is a recognition of what the stereotypes are that exist for black women, such that at all moments we appreciate the way that she is navigating this space of being First Lady in this entirely unique body, but we also know that at any moment she can be relabeled Sapphire, she can be relabeled angry black woman, and so we both want her to do what all of our mamas would do, which is to say, I know you did not interrupt me. We can talk, but not right now. But on the other hand, we also know that the risks for her, and therefore for all of us that stand in that moment, are quite different, I think, than they are for any other First Lady.
I mean, I think what you're saying is absolutely right. It's what is that perception? But I think the way that she handled it, and she always handles this stuff with grace every single time. And what did the heckler expect to happen? Yeah. Right? I mean, it's like you wanted her to continue talking while you were heckling her. Like, no, she provided the space that you were asking for, and then you didn't want to feel that vacuum. Well, then of course you're going to be dressed down and embarrassed. But you should have been in the first place when you're actually. And it's not because she's African American, but because she's the First Lady.
Yeah. I also want to say, Get Equal did give us a statement when we told them that we were going to be talking about this, and they said Get Equal has engaged President Obama and his administration in many ways over several years about taking swift action to help end LGBT workplace discrimination. An executive order signed by the president will help low-income LGBT people find jobs and provide for our families in this recovering economy, and was promised to us 5 years ago. We deeply respect the First Lady as a powerful political leader in our country and came to her this week to ask for help. Again, I am a huge supporter of this policy, but I'll also say that the angst about building coalitions between racialized communities and LGBT communities at a moment when many African Americans did their part this time, came out from the NAACP, the president coming out on marriage equality, did their part in 2012. It's got to be a two-way street on that building.
And what's a little strange is that this was a private setting in a private home. Yeah. So the heckler actually had a chance, an opportunity to have spoken to her without creating this chaos. And I think that's where I think a lot of folks don't understand. It's like you actually were in a private home in a quiet setting that you could have actually corralled her if you wanted to.
I think the heckling happened out of desperation. There are a lot of issues in the LGBT community. They've got ENDA that they're trying to get passed. This executive order would help them a little bit. Moving in the right direction. Of course, we've got Defense Against Marriage Act that we're working on. And then they had some successes early on in the Obama administration when Don't Ask, Don't Tell being repealed. But also, I think maybe the First Lady's positioning herself to run for office.
Oh,
perhaps.
See,
that
would. I'm going to leave it on that because I would eat that with a spoon and ice cream. I would love that. She has repeatedly said that she is not interested, but maybe, and that would be all kinds of swaggerific. Thank you to Ezra Klein, to Professor Anthea Butler, and to Edwina Rogers. I hope you will all come back and hang out with me again soon. Maria is staying for more. Coming up, the man playing ostrich to the civil rights movement of our day. My letter is up next. Come in North Carolina.